This is Zed from Yavin 4, and you're listening to the Escape Pod cast. Portions of this program were recorded in front of a live studio audience. I've been a SWGOH addict for approximately 4 years now. What? I'm in the wrong room. Am I in the wrong room?
One is a Grand Arena specialist from the UK. The other is a territory battle tactician from the US. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. With both having played this game since launch, the one thing we are sure of is that you will be entertained. The Escape Pod Cast, a service of the Escape Pod Castaways. A weekly podcast about the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Live from the network studios of Yavin 4, here are your hosts, Neil Andrew Eyre and Paul Anthony.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Pod cast,
the Galactic Legends kits have finally been revealed.
One of them seems to have the upper hand, though.
And the other one could very well be a sleeper.
The sheer number of Zetas is staggering, though.
And don't forget the new type of ability material.
I have a small conspiracy theory about that.
Ooh, now I have to get a tinfoil hat, Paul.
Not necessarily. I'll explain.
But when are these going to come to the game, and who exactly is ready?
We may have a clue in an announcement that just dropped today.
Everybody's been on edge this past week, and it's taken its toll.
And so, in our second segment, we talked to my friend, Kirby Karian, about his support for the National Alliance on Mental Illness and a fun event that he is streaming this weekend.
It is something to do if you are stuck in the home this weekend.
And from my experience, the fan bases will overlap just right.
In our incoming transmission, we sit back down with our friend Jesse, also known as E-Grace Gamer, to talk about our mental health when it comes to mobile games with premium content.
And we're going to give you some tips on where you should draw the line for yourself if you do feel overwhelmed.
And then it is Patron's Choice in our fourth segment. All this and breaking news as and if it happens.
Right here on the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast News.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Escape Pod Cast. I'm your host, Neil Andrew Eyre, and as always, I'm joined by my hetero life mate, Paul Anthony. Paul, how you doing, mate?
Oh, thank you, Bill and Ted. Which one's Bill? Which one's Ted here? Oh, no. That's not Bill and Ted.
That's not Bill and Ted.
God. That's Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah. Jay and Silent Bob. I'm Jay, you're Silent Bob.
Okay.
So I'll start dancing later on. We'll have to put the music on.
All right.
It puts the lotion in the basket or else it gets the hose. I've got to take this off. The joke's over.
Sadly, the joke is not over. But let's really quick get into the items of business of the show itself right away.
Mm-hmm.
We are on our push to 1,000. We have broken 750.
Hey, 3/4 of the way.
So we are on the last quarter of the way. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. And of the things that will happen new this week is that our old friend of the show, Run DMV Jr., will join me in the humility of Zeta Bodhi Rook.
Mm-hmm.
He'll even take them to Relic 4 if we hit 1,000.
Oh, that's going to be painful.
I know. The torture that people are willing to put themselves through to see us get to 1,000, we are so grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
We are extremely grateful for all of our friends. Get the word out. Make your friends, help your friends humiliate themselves along with us. Not necessarily humiliating yourself. You will be cutting off your long hair and donating it to Little Princess Foundation.
Little Princess Foundation, yep.
Bringer of Chaos will do the same. DPK is giving away. I mean, there's $50 on the line to get us to $1,000, and nobody There's some people that are just sitting on your butts. We're getting our word out as much as possible. We need your help. So get us there. At DPK, we'll give away $50 plus reciprocate your biggest regret of G13 and your biggest regret of your own Zetas. Apropos, we'll do a giveaway for our Talking Picard listeners. Sir Boss will get his makeup did and get a glitter beard. Dagger will take his infamous Will Dagger's Troopers Beat This Troopers to Gear 12. Force Strong will Gear 12 his Jawas. So I did mention Run DMV Gear 13ing Buddy Rook. He even went and said Relic 4 on that. Now, one thing that I do have to talk about, guys, if you are currently experiencing any sort of social distancing enforcement by your local governments, states, cities, whatnot, please do not forget your restaurants. Please do not forget those people who, if you cannot dine in, people cannot make a living. For the time being, go to a restaurant that you prefer, or go online. You can order gift cards online. Purchase a gift card to your favorite restaurant, and then go there and tip as if you were paying cash when you do. Because these restaurant workers, I work with a huge crew for, I'm going to say it, I work for Pluckers Wing Bar here in Houston. And we have such a great, talented group that they're relegated to delivering items right now. They're relegated to nothing dine-in. It's a culture shock to them, and it's to the entire industry. I'm not saying if you're in Houston or anything like that, that you have to go to Pluckers. Go where you want. I would love to see you guys at Pluckers, but also I'm also the trivia host there on Wednesday nights. And without a dine-in crowd, entertainers like me are not able to make ends meet from that income. So don't forget them as well. When you see them again, maybe give them a tip for what they do, especially if they're a local band or a local solo artist that does shows there. Please take care of our service and entertainment people as much as you can once you are back on your feet. I'm not asking you to give your last dollar to somebody, right, Neil?
No.
If it's your last dollar, use it for yourself. You need the food. But when it comes down to it, support your local restaurants, support your local entertainers. Please take care of them and wash your darn hands.
And if you do have to go out and be close to people, mask up.
Yeah. I
mask
have
and glove up.
I have some friends that work. Piranelli says Five Guys crew would love to have cash tips in the tip jar. Guys, that Five Guys crew, yes, their food is a little expensive. So's Pluckers. Our wings are some of the most expensive. They're good. They're worth it. But honestly, Five Guys, those any to-goes, hours are being cut, guys.
Yeah.
Help them out. Help out your restaurants. Let's see a restaurant month, not just a restaurant week, a restaurant month.
Yeah, the places without drive-thrus really, really are going to get absolutely slammed over the next couple of months. If you're a franchise without a drive-thru, because obviously that's what all the governors are saying. The governors have restricted all fast food. If you've got a drive-thru, you're allowed to keep a drive-thru open, but that's it. The restaurant part has to be shut down.
Well, it's kind of funny how the wing restaurant's doing it. We're now turning our two entries into the parking lot. We've turned that into curbside instead of drive-through. So you basically go in, you tell them your name, you go park, we bring it out to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, that would make more sense because it cuts down on the number of people that come within close proximity of each other. If it's just one person and they're handing something through the window of a car, yeah, it's not like, people standing in a queue in a fast food restaurant, which would
or
not
sitting
be
at a table.
not be social distancing.
Yeah, or sitting at a table right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get into the news that was this week. We, you know what? I'm going to start. Do I want to start with the small bits or do I want to start with the big bits?
Start with whatever you want, mate. I'm just playing off you, buddy.
Let's start with a really quick public service announcement, if you will. The upcoming Galactic Legends title update will cause players who are currently using iOS 12.0 devices to be unable to log in. So if you're running iOS 12 and you haven't upgraded to iOS 12.1 or you can't, you are going to have a lot of problems. So just a little public service announcement on that. Mm-hmm. The other item that was in their dev announcements and news that wasn't part of this gigantic announcement is that they are working from home. Our studio has taken the precaution of moving the team to working from home, but they do not expect that to significantly impact the release schedules. So,
no, lots of remote access being used,
I mean, as an IT guy myself, I totally, I see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are coordinating releases as usual, and this little bit, I loved it because they did it in our Lego game just today. They did it in the Lego game that we cover as well, and they gave out a whole bunch of energy to just do what you want with. And it helped me gear up a character in that game. I was excited. We got in that game essentially the SWGOH equivalent of 300 yellow energy and 400 orange energy. So we got light side, dark side energy and Cantina, full squad Cantina.
Be interested to see what they give us. I mean, obviously, they're going to give us something fun to help fill the time.
We know many of you have some additional time on your hands, and we're looking into doing something fun to help fill your time at home. And then they gave a World Health Organization link to reference.
Yes, the WHO.
Yeah.
Let's hope they give better advice for COVID than they did for swine flu, because they were a nightmare when the swine flu was around.
Well, it wasn't this crazy.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't this crazy. But just to touch on it very, very briefly. There's lots of information floating around out there on the internet. Try and get it from, try and get your information regarding this from a medical professional. Just get it from, just let it be a medical professional. Don't let it be some bureaucrat or some politician, because we know that they make mistakes and they lie. They're either incompetent and or negligent. Just go with somebody who is a medical professional. If they're a medical professional, you should be able to take what they're saying as verboten.
All right. So let's get into the Galactic Legends kit reveal. That's honestly what a lot of people were coming here to talk about or hear us talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So Galactic Legends Rey is, of course, being released alongside Supreme Leader Kylo Ren.
Called it.
By the way, her name is just going to be Rey.
Yeah. I mean, it should be Rey Palpatine, but they're just going with Rey.
Spoiler alert, man!
No, no more spoilers. It's March. The movie came out in December. No more spoiler alert.
So she doesn't have this is from the basics. I'm only gonna read the basics unless we want to get into, anything else in her developer insight portion. She's one of the first two. Her name is simply Ray. Ray can lead almost any light side squad, but specifically synergizes with allies that inspire, which she does, RH Poe does, and RH Finn do as well. Jolie Findu. Flashbacks. Anyway, her abilities target light side characters instead of a specific faction, so she can be theory crafted to death.
Mm-hmm.
Her kit is flexible depending on the situation. She can sacrifice her health to provide her allies with a large amount of survivability or dish out damage if an ally is low on health over there. Now, Supreme Leader Kylo can ramp up to become a very powerful foe over the course of the battle, while Rey starts out strong and can use her ultimate early or late in an encounter to great effect.
Yeah. I'm guessing that you're gonna see lots of Reys with the dregs of a light side roster. So let's say you've got 4 light side and they're like 8s, 9s, and 10s. And it doesn't matter what you do with those 4 characters, they're always going to get hammered. Put Rey as the leader of that in your defense, and people will be like, "Oh, great!" Just Rey in that squad makes it unbeatable, which then saves having to put a squad in Territory War or Galactic or GAC, Grand Arena. That's the way that that's the way I read that when it says flexible depending on the situation. Because if an ally is low on health, then she's going to dish out the damage. So if your characters are already starting out with low health, she's just going to smash the opponent into oblivion. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see some video footage of her, without a doubt. Hasn't the event gone live? Didn't it go live last night?
The Galactic Legends? No.
Yeah.
Galactic Legends hasn't dropped yet.
Oh right, no, I just got a notification on my iOS late last night saying Galactic Legends event has started or something.
At least I haven't seen it.
Oh well, maybe it was another event that went on, and my phone was just sending me an annoying notification for it.
It said the Journey Guide is live, which that Journey Guide that's been live for a while. If that's what you're talking about. Now, let's take a look at Rey's kit.
Okay.
Rey's kit her basic. Her basic has a Zeta. And it's if she does it on her turn, she deals damage twice, has 50% health steal, increased 50% health steal, ignores 50% of the armor, and health steal is doubled if Rey is under 50% health. So essentially, she gets a double tap if she's there, and will regain health. And it is a Zeta. So the thing about these kit reveals nowadays is that it says final text. I want to know what it is before the Zeta. I would love to know what it is for us plebes who don't have the money to go buy light speed bundle Zetas. Lifeblood, all of her abilities cooldown of 0. Her first special cooldown is 0, so she can use it right away. Rey loses 25% health, and target light side ally gains bonus protection equal to the amount lost. So it's only protection. She doesn't give health, so anything going underneath can still underneath protection can still go there. If Ray's at full health when she uses this, all light side allies gain critical hit immunity for 2 turns. And then somebody gains lifeblood, which means that damage received is decreased by 30% and damage dealt is increased by 30%. So she basically fortifies somebody. Target other ally gains lifeblood until they're defeated until lifeblood is granted to somebody else, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And she can't be defeated by giving somebody 25% health. But she can't use this ability if she is at or below 25% health at the start of her turn.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's saying Ray can't be defeated by this ability. Okay. Well, if she can't use it, she can't use it. I guess damage over time or thermal detonators. But still, at the same time, that doesn't make sense.
It's all going to be dependent on how fast she is. She's going to need to be fast.
Yeah. So she has to have an ally dropped below 60% health since its last use. She could deal 3 times massive damage, which means she deals, I believe massive damage is calculated at 99,999. So she deals 3 times massive damage to target enemy and then deal physical damage to all enemies. So she does 300,000 and then physical damage to everybody else. Enemies defeated can't be revived. The attack can't be countered or evaded. This just sounds so crazy.
Yeah. But you see, I'm already thinking over in my head, what is there out there that can counter her? And the squads that are going to counter her, they're not going to be standard squads. It's going to be a hodgepodge of different characters to counter her abilities. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like it's going to be like a Jedi Knight Revan with Thrawn in it, and Nihilus, and it's going to be.
So there's the basic and the 2 specials. That's 3 abilities that are on the screen. Mm-hmm. She has a leader. She has 2 uniques. But let's get to the ultimate. The ultimate is Heir to the Jedi. Must charge to 100% before use. She gains 6% ultimate charge at the start of every character's turn. It doesn't say every light side character. So if you get the fastest characters and bang, 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 bang. So let me do the math here because I want to make sure that I am 100% correct. At the start of every character's turn. So it includes her. 17 turns and boom, the ultimate's ready. So if you get turn swapping it, I don't know why you would use with Thrawn, but using
not use her with Thrawn, use Thrawn against her.
Oh, geez. Every character's turn, not ally turn.
Yeah, every character's turn. So every time your opponent goes and you go, it's 6%.
Until the end of her next turn, she enters a defensive stance and damage light side. Damage to light side allies received is reduced to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Get hit by 1 point of damage. While in that stance, she can't act. She has 30% less speed, is immune to all detrimental effects, and cannot be defeated. Upon activating the ability again, she deals true damage to the enemy team split amongst all of them, and all ultimate charge is consumed.
Oh my, is the first response immediately after that, and I concur. Oh my.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to have to come up. Here's the thing, right? And it is kind of a big thing. Remember when Malik first came out? And the theory crafters instantly, within 24, 48 hours, discovered that Palpatine was the perfect counter, right? The perfect counter. Palpatine got nerfed, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. My concern is this isn't getting beta tested. So they're going to throw this out, expect it to be OP, and expect it to, probably Kylo Ren and only Rey and Kylo Ren to be able to defeat each other. Someone's going to come up with something with really good characters to counter her, and they're going to nerf all those characters.
Yeah.
That is my concern. Isn't somebody theory crafting and finding a way to beat them. It's someone finding a way and theory crafting the team to beat her, only for then all of the characters in that squad, or one or two of them, to then get nerfed, because that's what they do. When they screw up on a character and someone finds an easy way to beat the new big bad, they just nerf what can beat the new big bad. And that's my primary concern. So, yeah.
So, by the way,
Excellent
before I go into the leaders and the uniques, I just want to point out she is light side, she is attacker, she is leader, and she is resistance.
No Jedi tag.
I thought in the movie she said that she was all the Jedi.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. She needed other Jedi because she wasn't good enough herself.
But no, she is all the Jedi. So if she's all the Jedi, shouldn't she have the Jedi tag? Neil's just ignoring me.
No, I'm not. I already responded. I already said she's useless on her own and because she's not a Jedi and she's crap and useless on her own, apparently, that she needs all of the Jedi to help her out,
All right. So once again, I'm mentioning final text Zetas here.
Mm-hmm.
Light side allies have, this is their leader, plus 40 mastery. So their mastery skills, the skills that they have, are boosted. Your Coruscant Underworld Police is going to be boosted by their mastery. Speed. And that they also get plus 30 speed and plus 30% max health. And if an enemy gains bonus turn meter. Inspired light side allies. So here's your inspired, your Poe, your Finn, your her. Gain 5% mastery stacking. No limit until the end of the encounter. The first time each light side ally falls below 50% health, they gain damage immunity for 1 turn. And they recover 50% of health when it expires. The damage immunity can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented.
Well, I mean, those, the Poe and, Poe and Finn were characters that were required. So people are more than likely going to use those two, and then, the theory crafters will go to work. I can't see, I don't see the point, just looking at her kit, I don't see the point in putting a bunch of Gear 13 relic characters with her when she gives so much. I mean, yeah, sure, you could make her invincible by putting her with 4 others, but, why spend, why put 4 Gear 13 relic characters on her when she can turn a bunch of trash light side into an awesome squad, and then you've got those other 4 Gear 13 relic resistance characters to use in a resistance squad. You know what I mean? You see where I'm coming from.
Just having but leaving those inspired with that team. Yeah. All right. Unique. There's 2 of them. Once again, a Zeta. At the start of her turn, Rey becomes inspired. If she's already inspired, she instead inspires the healthiest light side ally who isn't. So she's gaining, just giving out inspired like candy. And they dispel all debuffs on themselves when they use a basic ability during their turn. And light side allies with inspired or damage immunity can't have their turn meter reduced. So no wavy wave of Rey. Regular Rey is not going to beat
Yeah,
Right.
just think of every character that reduces turn meter.
Yeah.
C3PO, not C3PO.
Now,
R2,
mind you,
BB-8.
this is the Zeta.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what it's going to be without the Omega.
Yeah, we don't. Good
get,
point. We don't know
until
yet.
you get all of these Zetas on her. It's not gonna. It might not even matter. Galactic Legend, which is a unique for both of them here. This unit takes reduced damage from percent health damage effects and massive damage effects. They take massive damage from destroy effects and are immune to stun. Immune to stun. The unit has 10% max health and protection per relic amplifier level.
Oh
so
my god!
You send it to 7. And then it's there. And it says, and damage they receive is decreased by 30%.
Oh my god. Okay, so your first Zeta goes there.
Yeah.
That's where your first Zeta goes. Your first Zeta goes there.
Okay, so let's count the Zetas here really quick. We got basic. We got special 1. We got special 2. We got leader. We got unique. We got unique 2. Now, people are complaining that this is a 6 Zeta character. You've heard this, yes, Neil?
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to go out on a limb. This is my conspiracy theory. This is where you bring out the tinfoil hat, but you're going to be like, okay, maybe this guy has a point. That Ultimate's going to have a Zeta in it too. You may need 10 unique ability materials, but that Ultimate is going to take Zetas. I'll be surprised, and this is just the speculation, I'll be surprised if it doesn't take Zetas twice. You have to Zeta it, and then you have to spend unique ability material and Zetas to purchase that last little bit.
Yeah. I'll be curious to know how much the ultimate ability materials are going to cost as well. Because there's, his thing is, if you're using this character in Squad Arena, I mean, odds are you're not going to get attacked. But if you get attacked and the AI uses your ultimate ability, it's going to burn through your ability materials.
Okay, so these ability materials, they're gonna cost. They're not gonna. It says unlocked with purchase 10 unique ability materials. People were reading into it. Oh, we have to buy these. No, you earn them. Shut up.
Yeah, I don't think you know. Yeah, but what's it cost in resources to earn them? What do you have to do to earn them?
We already know that. We already know that because they talked about this in the Galactic Legends event, where they talked about how you're going to get the character early, and then later versions of the event that you're earning the tickets for will earn you the ability materials.
Yeah, but is there going to be a limit on these materials like they limit the tickets?
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm just saying, if somebody comes up with that ultimate theory crafting squad that can beat her, she's going to get attacked the crap out of until they nerf those characters, which means, you're going to need a decent nest egg of these materials if you're getting attacked every 5 minutes. Sorry, every 10 minutes.
All right. Landon's saying no destroy mechanics will kill Rey, means no Nihilus or IPD. Yeah, that's very, very true, and people need to know that. Destroy mechanics like IPD or Nihilus is not going to take care of this Rey. Now, here's one thing. And, the 27 live viewers right now kind of get this little insight. If we earn ability materials through these tickets, but once we complete it, we no longer get tickets, like they've mentioned, hoard these damn ability materials with whatever way you have, unless they limit you to having only 10 ability materials. Once you hit 10, keep going. Don't cash it in. Keep going. So you have some in reserve, especially so Neil has some in reserve so he can put them on on Jedi Knight Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is wait and see.
All right.
And
so, let's. Man, we're starting to run over time here on this one.
We are. I mean, we've already been going for 40 minutes, mate, and we haven't even touched on Galactic Raider. Kylo
we haven't hit Kylo, but we really need to get into this. So I'll tell you what, guys. I'm gonna read the kit reveal on Kylo. Not the kit reveal on Kylo. I'm gonna read the developer insight on Kylo. But we're gonna save that for the fourth segment. Going down the entire thing, and then we'll go into Patreon's choice because we have some very, very special guests coming up real soon. But the first thing they talked to in the Kylo, the basics. They said he's primarily focused on dealing damage and increasing his strength over the course of the encounter, but doesn't care about the squad mates. So I think this is where you're thrown in Thrawn and things like that. His stats grow over time through a new effect called Siphon and can be very strong in longer encounters. So if you have if you come up with a stall team with Galactic Kylo, that's going to be great. And here's where they put this an interesting word. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's Galactic Ascension event, Heir to the Dark Side. So the Galactic Legends have to do a Galactic Ascension event, and they're each going to be named. We didn't get that with the Rey developer insight, or I didn't see it at least. And it's going to go through his story, kind of like we're going to get a story with him as well. I think it's great. We'll get into unique attributes and then talk about the other stuff here on the other side of this break. But when we come back from this break, we're going to be talking to Kirby Carrion, one of my good friends and fellow trivia entertainer. He does a fun event that I think some of our people, it's in our wheelhouse to enjoy both Star Wars and fake fighting, as some people call it, professional wrestling. How is he helping, and how can you stay home and help? We'll tell you coming up after this break on the Escape Pod cast.
The Escape Pod cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Ware.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Ware could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and I approve this message and am compensated for signups for this service.
The world's largest audiobook library is at your fingertips, and the Escape Pod Castaways wants you to try it for free. Head on over to escapepodcastaways.com and click the Going Nerdy offer button to claim a free audiobook and 2 Audible originals. Cancel anytime, and it's absolutely free to sign up. Check out Audible and support the Escape Pod Castaways, all for free. See Audible website for details. Restrictions may apply.
This is Hellenix.
Hashtag shameless self-promotion.
And you're listening to the Escape Pod Cast, part of the Escape Pod Castaways Network.
The Escape Pod Cast.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Escape Pod Cast. We have our first guest. But I don't do the introductions. The Master of Ceremony does the reductions. So, Paul, do the introduction.
I absolutely would love to do this introduction, and this one brings me a lot of joy. Ladies and gentlemen, straight out of South Houston, it's himself. He is a fellow trivia master. He and I have a rivalry that dates back since he started doing trivia down at the location down south. Right now we do have the upper hand on that rivalry, but we're not here to talk about that rivalry at all, Kirby. I'm sorry I even brought it up. Master of created CWL. I'll have you tell us about that in a second. And he also works, I'm going to give a little bit of your accolades, my friend. You work with Booker T on Reality of Wrestling.
What? You work with Booker T? That is so cool.
He is a video master. And I am beyond honored to call him my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirby Carrion, how are you, sir?
Doing good. I don't know why I have like butterflies in my stomach. I think it's because I've never really done an interview for a podcast or let alone a video interview. So it's kind of just like, let the nerves go.
Yeah. Just let it go, mate. Just let it flow.
Yeah.
It's just like that first time that you grabbed the mic and did trivia night. And look at you, you're doing awesome. And you're even closely rivaling me in attendance, which is amazing. Thank you, Biscuit Weasel, for the $5. We do really appreciate that. So yeah, Neil said Biswees. Everybody take a
Drink.
shot. Now
I have my shot glass ready, so you know.
Okay, so Kirby, I wanted to bring you on, especially on this week's show, to talk about first off what you are doing this week on this Saturday. You're going to be putting on an event, but first off, let's talk about what the event itself is about.
So every year for the CWL, which is my YouTube channel, we do a charity event, which is kind of, just a big event that we like to promote. We like to have special guests. We like to just promote it more than our usual regular shows because we want to kind of put a stamp on mental health awareness. I feel that it has become a bigger thing that people have really learned to understand a little bit better. But as always, awareness never ends and spread of information never ends. So we want to do our part to make sure that we can do something, making sure that people that have mental health issues or any kind of mental health stuff can feel comfortable talking about those issues and not feel like there's a stigma behind them.
Yeah, and that's a big that happens to be a big thing these days is the stigmata against or the stigma, not the stigmata. That's something totally different.
That's
of mental health issues. Yeah. Our hands are clean. Well, we've washed them. So
wash your hands, y'all.
Tell me, Kirby, what is you mentioned shows? Okay, so for our Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes audience, they have no idea what CWL is. So, first off, what's the acronym stand for, and what do you mean by shows?
So CWL means Created Wrestlers League. I'm pretty sure if you've ever played a wrestling game, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you know how amazing the creative tools are in the wrestling games. So what I did, one day I was just sitting here in my house and I was like, I like creating these characters and I like putting them up against the real wrestlers from the game. But what if we had a universe mode, which is a special mode in the game itself, where we bring in characters from everywhere in the world? And it was just, okay, one user brings me one character, and then another user brings me one character, and then another user brings me one character. And to keep it fair, we just have them fight it out without anybody actually controlling the characters. And that's kind of where the idea sprouted. I took a poll on Reddit and I was like, who would be interested in such a channel? And then I had literally tremendous feedback and I was like, whoa, okay, I may have something here. And little by little, it started becoming bigger to the point where we have it now. I want to say like 10, 12 people on staff that help me for production. And we make segments on the show. We have commentary teams on the show. We have a production guy who makes all my match cards and all my graphics, my intros, all that stuff. And then I kind of just record the shows, put it all together since I'm the editor for the whole thing. And then we put it out there basically as if it were its own actual wrestling company.
Wow.
That's impressive.
And so these shows that he does, he basically runs the universe mode, kind of like the Raw and SmackDown, and then the shows that he puts on for those who are familiar with the WWE, Dynamite for those who are familiar with AEW, and then the shows that he puts on are the pay-per-views.
So what's the platform that this universe mode is on? What's the game and the platform that this universe mode is available on?
It is on all the WWE 2K games starting from like 2014, I want to say. But every year they add little extra things that, now you can actually create the whole universe mode and like modify it. Now you can have created championships. You can have all kinds of things. But if you have the most recent WWE 2K game, you can be in it. Well, actually, aside from 20, because 20 was a little bit of a, let's just say, chaotic. So we stayed with 2019. So right now we run on our Xbox version of 2K19. But even if you're not on Xbox, I do have somebody on staff that recreates people to the detail from PS4 or PC. That way you can still join even if you're not on Xbox.
So you're currently using the Microsoft Xbox platform.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah. So and you have. Have you ever pulled a screw job in Montreal and made sure that a match ended a certain way, or is it 100% up to the computer?
100% up to the computer. That is, as soon as you join our Discord, at the top literally says rule number 1, anything that happens. There are no restarts. And what makes that really fun is that we literally don't have any control of the story whatsoever. So it is your responsibility as the user to create a story of how your character would react. So it's basically just a gigantic role-playing platform. And if you think about it, it's basically Dungeons and Dragons, where as soon as the bell rings, that's the dice roll, and you kind of just have to build off of there.
But I'm just getting my head around this. I mean, obviously, established wrestlers obviously have moves, and they have they're going to have very, very set mechanics. So if you're creating a wrestling character that's going to go toe to toe with something that's in the WWE, for example, how do you make things up? I mean, perfect. Say I wanted to create a tag team, right? Let's call them Snowflake and Safe Space. All right, two new Marvel characters. Right, let's say I wanted to make those two new Marvel characters into a tag team wrestling team. How would I go about making or determining the mechanics for special moves and stuff like that?
Well, we actually do have a wiki as well with all the wrestlers' informations on there. And as the user, it's the responsibility for them to kind of give us a lot of background of the character, of kind of where they came from, what they've done, their accomplishments and such. Because, people actually have these characters that they've cared for years. For example, my character, or my initial character, I should say, because I changed since, his name was Taurus Fire. And he's literally been in the industry for 16 years because I began playing these video games 16 years ago. In CWL, we created a story where he was going to challenge for the biggest championship for the entire company. But if he lost, he would have had to retire. And because I like to upkeep my own stipulations for my matches after my character lost, I had to retire him. So in my headcanon, Taurus Fire is pretty much just gone. And I had to create a new character from scratch. And then I kind of created his backstory and everything. So to kind of just expand on that, literally everything that you do for your character is up to you, and just the wiki is how we are able to keep up with everything. It's got your moves, it's got everything that your character's done, and that way we kind of like don't infringe really on other people. But with the moves, it's kind of limited to what you can and can't do, because if one person's using that finisher for 3 years, you can't use that finisher, so you kind of have to like switch it up just a little bit. We've really not run into that issue too much. But when we do, we kind of just bring a heads up, like, hey, just so you know, this move is used by this person, et cetera, et cetera. And people are really cool about it most of the time. So,
yeah, I'm a little bit fuzzy when it comes to WWE and finishing moves, because I stopped watching when Undertaker's run was ended by Lesnar. So I always said in the back of my mind, as soon as the Undertaker's run ended, so would mine.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It was similar. I immediately to kind of talk about current pro wrestling really quick. I canceled my WWE subscription after they followed through with putting the belt on taking the belt off the Fiend and putting it on Goldberg.
That was that's a moment. Let's just say that.
So, and I think that's the reason that Corona has spread.
I would believe that.
Anyway,
all roads lead back to Vince McMahon.
Exactly. So, all right. So, what is but before we get into how the benefit is going to be run, let's hear the big card. What are the big? Give us two or three big storylines going into this event as you're pulling up your match card.
I'm about to, because I'm like, we have like 14 matches set for the whole event, and I have to like pull it up because I have to pick 3, and I'm like, oof, all right, it's gonna be hard. So first and foremost, actually, it's probably the coolest one of them all, and it's like the one that I was super hype about. Back in November, this is when I started crafting this idea. I asked one of my friends from Reality of Wrestling if he would be interested in being digitized into the game, and we create him onto the platform and have him have a match.
Oh, nice.
Ironically enough, a friend of mine as well, and we didn't even know it.
Yeah, so when he told me, like, yeah, I'm absolutely down. That sounds great. How can I do this? And I was like, whoa, I actually expect like that positive response. Like I expect, yeah, sure, that's cool. But when he was so into it, I was like, okay, now I got to do this right. So we took a poll on our Discord, and I was like, hey guys, I have a very awesome story lined up, but only one person can take it. And then, we're going to decide who wants to do it, but you can't do any like big stories for titles or anything, because it was just going to be, a story where you can't be a champion, because then that was just going to take away one of our matches for the card. And one of the guys who I consider one of our top heels for the entire show, he's like, oh, I'm interested. And at that point, it was over. I was like, okay, you're going to do it. You're the guy. Perfect. So since November, we told him you can't do any big storylines. You can do like minor things here and there, but you can't get involved in championships. It's just, let it build. And he's like, okay, sure. We kept this a secret from November until last week when we did the reveal. And Brian Keith, who is a wrestler and the current Reality of Wrestling heavyweight champion, is going to be on the show wrestling one of the CWL people. And again, that has me super excited. When we put it out, I was like, finally we can talk about this. And the guy that took the match, he was like losing his mind. He was like, oh my God, like this is really happening. I was like, yep. And this is our reward to you for being one of our most dedicated and, biggest characters that we have on the show. Even though sometimes we don't show it, we do like to reward our people for doing what they do, because without our users, there is no CWL.
Yeah.
Yeah. With WrestleMania, extremely likely, probably being cancelled. Now is the time to market it. It's like, WrestleMania's been cancelled. Doesn't matter. Come watch us. We've got some stuff for you.
Exactly. And that's why I tell people, like, here you don't have to go out to shows. And the way our schedule is set, we're actually taking a week off after this show because it's like one of our bigger ones, and it takes a huge toll on production and everything. After our 3 big shows that we do, we always like to give the staff 1 week off and then 1 week off. And then for our WrestleMania show, which is called Endgame, we always let people have 2 weeks off. That way we can just reset and start the new season right after that.
So, and a shout out quickly to Brian Keith. Loved working with you in class, brother. And that strap could not be on a better guy, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Except for one, but you and I disagree about that. Anyway, give us the other big match of this card coming up.
One another match that I'm actually really excited for everybody to get to watch is going to be the co-main event of the entire show, and it is for the Vindication Women's Championship. It is a triple threat match between Valencia, who is the current champion, Andrea, who is the leader of a group known as the White Lotus, and Selena Adams, who has kind of deemed herself independent. We have built this story for, I want to say, 3 months or so. Whenever we had our last big pay-per-view, that's kind of when it like really hit into gear. Andrea she likes to call herself King Judas because she actually usurped the White Lotus from the former leader named Kel Valen, who is now semi-retired, depending on who you ask. And she managed to defeat Valencia for the Vindication Women's Championship at one of our last pay-per-view events. And both of them tried to recruit Selena to their own respective groups because Valencia is part of a group called the Fabulous Furious Freaks, which they have a long, hilarious history behind the name and what it all entails. But I'll let you guys figure that out when you check out the channel. So it kind of just ended up evolving into a triple threat because Andrea had claimed to the title because she lost it back to Valencia recently. Valencia is the current champion, obviously, and then Selena has just been taking the fight to both of these women, and it's just been like a huge, chaotic ensemble of stuff happening. And on our latest episode, it just devolved into a huge brawl between all 3 women, and it kind of just built up to the event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and for those people who have not had a chance to watch your prior shows, you're going to be doing recaps during this charity event, correct?
Yes, there will be recaps for some of the matches, but the commentators do a really, really good job of zoning in on the story. That way, when the entrances are happening, if you don't know who these people are, you'll get caught up with the story as the entrances happen.
Oh, there's Selena Adams is in chat.
Yep,
she is.
Are the lady wrestlers like the divas? Are they hot as well as badass? Can they kick ass and have
They're
nice
definitely
ass?
badass. I will say that, absolutely. They're definitely badass.
It's kind of weird.
It's really, I like wrestlers that look good while kicking your ass,
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to call a digital representation hot, Neil, but I'll let you pass on this one.
Excuse me. Well, the next thing you're going to be telling me Jessica Rabbit isn't hot. Jessica Rabbit is the hottest animated cartoon in the world, hands down. And Roger Rabbit is one lucky bunny.
Cool World would like to have a word with you. Anyway, beyond that, so all this is going to raise money for the National Alliance for Mental Health and mental illness. NAMI, not NAM. What have you done in the past? I know you've done well in the past. What have you done in the past? What's the goal this year? And what incentives do people have to tune in and donate?
So we actually probably went a lot further than we've ever done before. The first year, I really didn't know what kind of turnout we were going to have and kind of, what we were going to achieve. But that's when we were still on Twitch. Because our format changed for the show, we actually ended up moving to YouTube and we lost a bit of followers from that transition. But the first year, we actually somehow, and I don't know how this happened, we got rated by New Legacy Inc., which, if you know that name, that's one of the biggest Twitch channels for any kind of wrestling on Twitch at all. And I'm like, as soon as I saw their name pop up, I was like, wait, I'm sorry, what?
We went from when that happened.
Yeah, we went from $385 at the point where they rated us. we shot up to $1,000 within an instant. And that was a donation that New Legacy brought in. And then they brought us a lot of new viewers. Our membership went up, like our membership numbers were just skyrocketed after that. Unfortunately, we've lost some along the way because, you know, people tend to not want to stick around if they're not winning because of the way our format works. But again, the way the show was structured and everything, we ended up finishing that show at $1,183. So $1,100 and $1,100 basically, almost $1,200. And that was kind of crazy because I was like, I expected maybe like $200-$300, and I was like, whoa, like, well, this just came out of nowhere. And the video is actually on YouTube if you want to see my actual reaction, because I was just losing it after that. I was like, this is a thing that happened. Thanks. So it was just, you know, kind of cool.
Nice
The
getting rated by
second
the
year,
big boys.
yeah, exactly. The second year, that was right before or right after we moved to YouTube. So like I said, we lost a lot of our user base, or a lot of our followers and stuff. So we ended up raising $200 that second year, which again, for me, it's not about the amount. It's just that we managed to do something. We kind of just, you know, put the word out there, because even if we just donate $1, that's more than enough for me, and I'm cool with it. For this year though, I really want to try and beat the amount from the first year. And like I said, we kind of went all out for this year. I have teamed up with Foamhammer Games, which I don't know if you guys have heard of them before. They produced a card game called Book It, which is kind of a whatchamacallit, a wrestling promoter card game where you're a wrestling promoter and you try and put on the best shows possible for 6 weeks. And after those 6 weeks, whoever has the most reputation as a promoter ends up winning the whole game. Now, I'm actually going to pull out my phone here real quick so I can show you guys. I paid the.
I was gonna say, go ahead. I know where you're leading up, and then I got something for you.
I paid the creator of the game to make me some cards that we can actually promote for the charity show, and we ended up putting our actual characters into the game. And these are 4 of our most popular wrestlers from the show, and they're going to be fully playable cards in the Book It card game when they do release, which we are taking pre-orders now on our PayPal, and whoever sends me donations, then they're going to get the set sent to them, and it's going to be a limited edition set. After this Sunday, they're not going to be available anymore ever again.
And when you first announced this on your personal page, you were so excited. I was very I immediately hopped in, and I bought 2 sets, one for me, one for one that I told you to give away on this stream coming up.
Yep.
So if you're even interested in indie card games, the Book It card game is amazingly fun, and you can even get this ultra limited edition and balanced. Those characters are very balanced for your game too. So it's not like they're overpowered or they're you know, they're your SmackDown crew. Or wait a minute, SmackDown better now? Who knows these days?
It's preference, really.
Exactly. But it's you know, getting in on the ground floor of this, you guys got to do it. You guys got to help out. Now, I don't remember if we talked about it. What exactly are we benefiting? What is NAMI? What are they? What will they do with the money that is donated through this event?
So, from my understanding, what NAMI does is basically help out people with mental illnesses. So, if you ever need a therapist to talk to, they're going to guide you to where you can go. They're going to donate that money towards what are they called? Presentations, like to big presentations to where people can get more knowledge about how mental illnesses affect people, what can trigger people to get into their anxious state, and just help them through everything. So they always do everything that they can to bring more awareness to how they can better help you get through every mental stuff that's going through whatever it is you're going, and you feel comfortable doing it while you're with them.
Excellent. I mean, I wish you all the luck. So, the two places to get access to this is I'm blanking right now. I know you have if you look up CWL or CWL Universe on YouTube, you will find them. Also, you could find them on twitch.tv/CWL Universe, just like on YouTube.
And we're going to be doing the Twitch stream just for this live event because we kind of let go of the Twitch a little bit, but we're just doing it for our live event for this one specifically.
So people can catch up on the backstory by going to the YouTube channel, but the live event, because of your history with Twitch, you are simulcasting YouTube and Twitch. Man, I wish you all the best. Before we throw to commercial and get onto mental health gaming practices, which I mean it fits right up this alley. So I'm glad that these two were able to intermingle. Is there anything that we need to know going into your show?
Well, I hope that if you guys have some time to just kind of watch the show, even just watching the show and spreading the word is more than enough for me. And I know times are tough right now with all the pandemic stuff going around. So even if you don't have anything to donate, that's okay. Just I would like for you to watch the show because obviously I want more eyes and everything. And if you enjoy it, feel free to join. We are a family at CWL, and that's my biggest thing that I take away from everything on the show. We have had some people confide in us with a lot of their own personal things because they feel comfortable with us. And that's the kind of environment that I want to convey. We are a family first and foremost. And sometimes just talking to a computer, talking to a faceless person that'll be there to support you is going to be one of the things that I love most about this channel. And I want to help keep it help growing and just go to different heights. So if you want to watch the show, stop by. It's going to be this Sunday at 2 p.m. on our YouTube channel, on our Twitch channel. If you're friends with me on Facebook, it's going to be live on my Facebook as well. And we got a lot more surprises, such as Miss Charmel is going to make an appearance. Just saying.
Oh damn.
So yeah, stop on by. It'll be fun, I promise.
That's excellent. Any other questions for Kirby, Neil?
No. Nicely wrapped up, mate.
All right, guys, go check him out. Go support Kirby, personal friend of mine. It would mean the world for him to break his own record, but not only in donations, but also viewers. We want to see all of you guys out there. It's going to be a amazingly hilarious time. The commentators are great. Kirby does great in the gorilla position, as he does also at Reality Wrestling. Once again, Kirby, thank you for taking time out of your night to come on the show, and make sure your roommates get the cookie for keeping quiet during the interview.
I will. Thank you for having me. Seriously, really appreciate it.
All right, stand by, Kirby. We'll talk to you in the middle of the break and get you going. Guys, coming up after this, Jesse, you also know him as E-Grace Gamer. He is studying psychology and mental health. And you guys want to hear what he's got to say about balancing the two with your gaming habits right after this on the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Ware.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod Cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net.
Heinzie from the ANZGC is officially a member of the Escape Pod Castaways. Make sure you go and search for Heinzie on YouTube today because he live streams a lot of his GAC content, and not only does he do that, he also does some pretty fun videos from time to time, including a behind the screen and also streaming Jedi Fallen Order. And from time to time, this idiot might drop by. Head on over and check out Heinzie today on YouTube, a part of the Escape Pod Castaways network.
Back to school. The Escape Pod Podcast for Kids. It's really cool.
Hello and welcome back, Escape Padawans, to Storytime with the Llama and the Escape Pod Cast for Kids. The day has finally come where we wrap up our Hollow Table Heroes series, and we have saved a great one for last, the Ships Table. This one has a ton packed into it, so let's get right to it. When you hop in, this is broken down into 4 subtables. The first is the Fleet Challenges table. This one works similarly to the regular Challenges table, except you use your fleet instead of your squads. There are 3 challenges that rotate throughout the week, where you can get building materials, enhancement droids, and training materials. The training material event even gives you Zeta mats. This table is also where you'll find the mastery events to get your first 3 capital ships to 5 stars if you're a new player. The next table is the Fleet Arena store. This is where you'll spend your purple Fleet Arena tokens on character and ship shards, purple ability mats, and Zeta mats. There's also a super small table in the back that'll take you to the regular store to get data cards, crystals, and resources. Right up front are the fleet battles. These are set up similarly to the light and dark side battles, where there are multiple levels with both a normal difficulty and a hard difficulty. The normal nodes will earn you a lot of your gear, and the hard nodes will earn you your character and ship shards. Last, but certainly not least, is the Fleet Arena table. This is set up similarly to the Squad Arena table, where there are 4 tabs: matches, ranks, prizes, and redeem. Keep in mind that the prizes for Fleet Arena are not the same as Squad Arena. In Fleet, you'll need to be in the top 50 to earn crystals versus the Arena Squad, where you get crystals for any rank. I hope you've enjoyed this in-depth look at the game. I'll be back with a brand new series next week, but you'll have to wait until then to find out what it is. Stay tuned. That's all for me. Tune in next week for more story time with the Llama and the Escape Pod Cast for Kids.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Podcast.
The Escape Pod Cast now offers our faithful listeners a way to show their support via merchandise. Declare your allegiance to Team Paul or Team Neil with official shirts. Get a Storytime with the Llama button or magnet. Or just represent the show by getting an official logo hoodie. There are now even Team Scotty and Team Heinzie options available too. Become an official Padawan today. Check out the merch at escapepodcastaways.com.
Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Escape Podcast. In this third segment, in this incoming transmission, we are talking with one of our good friends, Grace Gamer. I'll be calling him Jesse for the remainder of this interview. I'm going to let him give you his degrees, but he works in psychology. He works in mental health. He works a lot. He has a series that he's working on as well. You're working essentially called the Grace's Jedi Temple. It helps people apply the Star Wars principles of peace, not emotion, knowledge, not ignorance, serenity, not passion, harmony, not chaos, and the Force, not death. When it comes to issues, and he is the person that I go to when I have nowhere else to go to. He always lends a good ear. Here to talk about the ability of or the stability of doing of premium games and freemium games, and how to balance it through a healthy mental state. Ladies and gentlemen, Grace Gamer, how you doing, buddy?
Great. Really happy to be here on the show. And I wanted to kind of use things that I've learned, both from professional and personal experience, to try to help people enjoy the game a little bit more. Maybe if we can identify some of the ways that the game's trying to steer us, then we don't have to be steered when we don't want to be, and playing towards our values rather than where the game wants us to play.
So to give people a little bit of background on you, you do have a bachelor's in psychology.
Yes, and I'm one class away from my graduate degree. And I'm actually already practicing in an internship and professionally on the side.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, the reason we wanted to have you on, and it works very, very well with the fact that we are in the middle of talking about these Galactic Legends characters. Mm-hmm. This very, very end game, very, very end game release. Hopefully, we're getting a little bit of a new early game release, possibly in the future. But mm-hmm. these are extremely end game characters.
Oh yeah,
relics in order to get them to even have a chance to go at them.
Oh, no. They did throw us a bone with the ships only having to be 5 stars. 12 characters relic a one ship at 5 stars. So they threw us the tiniest of bones.
Better than no bone, I guess.
That's true, Neil. But regardless, it still is all characters need to be relicked. Mm-hmm. Now, when people see these lofty goals and they want these characters as soon as possible, that can cause a lot of trouble with, if I see a darn Crunch Bar inside the grocery store, I want that Crunch Bar, and I'm going to go purchase it. Now, there are people that have that same impulse purchasing pull when it comes to characters and outfits in games like Street Fighter. Oh, I have to have the M. Bison that looks like Thanos.
Yeah.
But when it comes to gaming, what is your recommended safe space?
I've played all different ways. I've played completely free to play. I've spent, and now I'm back to a position where, I'm only going to spend here and there. I don't really play any other video games anymore, so it's easy to say I can, $50 a month. That's what I was spending on Xbox at one point. So I'm okay doing stuff like that on occasion. But right now I'm okay not spending it all. And a lot of it has to do with just kind of reframing how we're playing the game. I've come to understand like how we're being steered towards gearing certain things and what the game tries to do to try to make sure that we're always playing. And knowing these things allows me to kind of make better decisions. It's one of the things that I learned the most preparing for this podcast was that it actually, the studies have found, the behaviorist B.F. Skinner found that you actually get more of a rise in your brain out of coming close to winning and losing than you do from actually winning. And so, when I thought about that in terms of this game, like how many times do we hit a button and get something half decent, but it's never the max prize? I'm sure several people have gotten a Mark III Carbanti over the 4 years that they've played from the ally points. The was it Bronzonian pack?
Yeah, the
I think?
Bronzium cards.
Yeah, and it sure could happen, but most of the time, if you're lucky, the best you'll ever get is one piece of salvage of that. And so they know that when we're hitting these buttons, that when we come close but we don't get it, even though the next time we do it, the probability is exactly the same, because we were close, our brains are hardwired to say, no, if we try it harder, if we try it again, we'll be closer. And so they know that. And so, knowing that, I'm going to do only the amount of refreshes that I need to do to make my energy without spending outside of what I can get from Arena. And doing that has helped me out a lot. I'm able to enjoy the game a little bit more rather than saying, man, why did I spend the 100 energy refresh? I only got like 2 pieces of salvage. Well, that's because they know that my brain is wired to keep hitting it when I get to like so many, and I'm so close to getting that next piece of gear.
Who was this that noted this down?
This was many years ago. This was BF Skinner, who did the work with the rats.
So BF Skinner postulated the theory, did he?
What he did was he tested rats they were conditioned to hit a button, and when they hit the button, it would give them food. But what he found is that over time, if they would hit the button and food wouldn't come out, they would hit the button more often. So even though they're wired to know that food comes out whenever they hit it, even when it doesn't, they'll keep hitting it because the response in our brains is stronger to coming close to winning and losing. So for the rats, that was they want food, right? And for months, they had been getting food every time that they hit that lever. Well, then when he started doing it to like 1 in 10 or 1 in 30 makes a piece of food come out, they keep hitting it. And not only do they keep hitting it, they keep hitting it faster, and they become preoccupied with it. And so, it's the same concept in the game. When we're trying to farm that next Gear 13 piece, we're more likely to spend more refreshes and stay on the game longer and babysit the free energy and things like that. And understanding that, I know that if I spend those extra crystals, now that I'm thinking of this thing, I know that I'm not really going to get much return on investment, no matter what my brain wants me to do. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So, that can, and they've said that it doesn't exist in Galaxy of Heroes, but that whole EA patent that a year ago that Mobile Gamer supposedly uncovered, where as you get closer to a goal, the odds go down.
Upper Echelon Gamers covered it really, really well. I watched the video from Upper Echelon Gamers, and basically it was a mechanic put in the game to make those who didn't spend, and those who did spend to continue to spend. So it would look at what it would take a person's spending, it would add it to an algorithm and figure out how can we best squeeze this person for additional in-app purchases based on what they do, and the algorithm would pick up what they did. It would then integrate it specifically for them, and they would match people with that account to maximize their profits and maximize their in-app purchases. But EA denied that it was being placed in mobile games.
And Fishing Clash did it for a while. They would pit you up against PvP bots that essentially would, at the last second, you would lose. And
that's exactly what I'm talking about. You get close to winning, and then it turns around and you lose on it, and you think that it's close, and then you get the same kind of euphoric reaction that you get from winning, but it's actually stronger because we're naturally wired to want to complete things, right? So you have the same effect in the brain as winning, except you didn't win, and so now you're more driven to try harder the next time.
Yeah, the RNG gods aren't the RNG gods sometimes. It really, really is just an EA
And
algorithm.
I don't think this game needs it, honestly, because the drop rates on some things, it's
They're
just
already
more code for
atrocious
them to have to put it in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that it's definitely not in the game. I honestly don't think they'd even need it, because the drop rates are already enough that it'll trigger our brains like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. Sometimes I've had to hit that bloody button 7 or 8 times just for one measly piece of grey gear. And it doesn't make me feel euphoric when I finally get it. It makes me feel angry that I've had to purchase and waste 7 or 8 sim tickets for one piece of grey gear, something that should have a 50% drop rate, and nobody loses the toss of a coin 7 times.
So it activates those same part of the brains, but it's not always a positive feeling. It's that desire for closure in that case. It's like, I just want this piece to be done. And so you'll go that extra distance at the same time. It's not always a good feeling. Euphoric was the wrong word. Just that same area of the brain that gets excited. And so, you can get excited and not be happy, but think of it like scratching off like a lotto ticket. And, the lotto ticket gives you 2 of the 3 spots you need, but the last one is like not it. Right. And so that feeling is just, I'm so close. Well, I mean, this one was so close, I should buy another lottery ticket. It's the same concept. Instead of buying a lottery ticket, we're clicking for the next pack. Or the next, refresh.
That's how I used to be when it came to when it came to the bounty hunters. But we'll get into that later on in our Patreon segment.
And another thing I wanted to kind of cover too is, especially with relics being so important now, is a concept called selective attention. And so, when we're going in there and we're getting our relics, a lot of people have kind of wisened up to it, but, they're just kind of showing us all this gear that we have hundreds of, right? But not all of it is unimportant. But it seems that way because we're so focused on going from relic 3 to relic 4, right? We want to hurry up and get that relic 4 done. And what you notice is that when you look at some of these pieces that they're asking for, I think one of them's for the yellow agility piece, the one that used to be for gear 11, I believe.
Yes.
When those run out, well, now you got to wait, just like you used to have to get those out of the weekly supply bonuses. And so if you spend all those, you're now back where you were at a beginning stage of the game. And obviously the later ones are going to require big pieces of gear. That's to be expected. But you'll notice with some of these middle tier pieces for relics, we're so focused on getting that next piece, we're not being very careful about what we're spending, and they know that, and that's to an effect on purpose, is to kind of slow us down, to kind of gate our advancement. Because some people advance very quickly, and it's hard for them to keep up.
And it does, and it also gates advancement getting to the spot where you can start relicking as well. Is what I'm gathering that the point that you're making,
right? And so, if we're not really paying attention to each piece that we're putting into these relics, we're bound to eventually lose some important gear. And so, a lot of the bigger alliances and stuff have made like cheat sheets. I highly recommend you use these, because if we don't, sometimes we just get so in a hurry to get that next relic that we miss that. And games know that. We're focused on the prize, not always necessarily on what it takes to get there. And that's almost the genius of relics, is that it's way easier to spend things you didn't mean to than it is when you're gearing up the old-fashioned way.
Now, for those that have whaled before and they've got that card, and they're pulling it out to to go to the next so they could buy more crystals. In your opinion, and yours carries a lot of weight because you got the pieces of paper that prove that you know what you're talking about. In your opinion, what is a safe spend level for someone? And I do before you answer that
question. Yeah.
Before you answer that, this is not this is not a truly true endorsement from Jesse. This is not an endorsement from Neil or I to spend on this game. You know, this guy over here hasn't spent a single penny.
Nothing. Not a dime. Never will
and, do. Or a pence in your case.
No. Not a penny.
It all comes down to, you know, well, okay, let me preface it this way instead. What if someone has disposable income, how much of that disposable income would be safe for them to put into any mobile game, be it Lego Legacy Heroes Unboxed, be it SWGOH, be it Fallout 76 in their Fallout First, or for Atoms in that game. You know, games that I truly enjoy. Some of them I pay, some of them I don't.
I like to say that if you think of this game as a hobby,
exactly,
a hobby should never hurt to spend on. Does that make sense? Like, you should never feel bad for spending on a hobby. So if you play this game free to play, and that's the only way you can or want to play it, then spending feels bad. Don't spend. You know, if this is your main hobby and you're spending, you know, within your means, and it does not feel uncomfortable to spend, that's fine. You know, I mean, some of the players in this game who you can tell have spent $100,000. I mean, if they're the, you know, CEO of an organization making millions of dollars a year, and they're not pained by spending that kind of money, then that's fine. You know, that they're financing our game. Thank you. But that's the key. You know, it shouldn't feel uncomfortable when you're playing the game. If it feels uncomfortable, I use a form of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy. And the whole concept of it is that things that feel uncomfortable are because it's hurting something that you value. You know, so if you're spending and it's painful, you're like, why did I spend that? I can't believe I spent that. Then something is wrong. You know, like what value did that interact with you? You know, was it, you know, some sort of financial obligation that you have that you're going to let people down? Is it because you made a promise not to spend money? I mean, it doesn't matter what the reason is. If it feels uncomfortable, then something's wrong. And really getting to the bottom of why it feels wrong is important too, because that's going to be the ticket to not spending outside of your means and to not spend at a level that it feels uncomfortable. And I'll tell you right now, you know, I'm not perfect. There have been times where I'm like, I can't believe I did that. But, you know, I had to sit down and really think of it. Acceptance and commitment therapy calls it values-based action. So whenever something comes up that is difficult or uncomfortable, you challenge it by comparing it to your set of values, and then determining what made you go in a direction away from it so that you know how to move towards it in the future. I don't want to get too wordy on it, but, you know, the whole premise is that things that are uncomfortable, you know, are usually because something important to us is affected. So if we're spending and it's painful, it usually means something very important to us is at threat. And that's why I say, if you are spending and you feel okay doing that, then it's fine. But if it's causing you problems, then it's really important to figure out where and why it's causing you problems. I mean, if it's causing you problems because you don't have money and you're not going to be able to pay your rent, I believe that's an exception to the rule. I don't believe many people play that way. But if that's the case, then, you know, your value of having, you know, shelter is at stake. That's kind of an extreme example, but it just is the first one I thought of.
All right. Neil, before I get into the last question for Jesse here, do you have any follow-up questions on that?
No. Very, very succinct, very, very to the point, mate.
All right. So let's talk about recovering swagaholics. And one of the big ones that I want to get into, one of the big questions I want to get into here, Jesse, is, you did some research for us going into this. What did you find as far as mobile gaming and the sunken cost fallacy, as it's called?
So there's a whole bunch of aspects to that. That term is primarily used into investments of money. But there's so many factors in this game. How many people do we know that say that they only play this game now for social reasons, right? The community is the only reason they play. That's a big deal. I mean, we're telling ourselves that if we don't play this game, we'll lose our friends. First of all, I'd like to point out that that's definitely not true. I have yet to meet a organization or community that will kick you out of the chat centers just because you quit playing the game. It's only if you move to a different guild alliance, they're going to kick you out because they don't want you sharing. And so I just wanted to kind of go on that quick aside, but it's, I'll apply it to the spending aspect. Sometimes we're driven to spend because we played a certain way for so long, and we built up this concept in our minds of who we are in this game and what our reputation is to the people around us. But the problem is we're making that concept up. It's not something that people really think about us. Most people we acknowledge as changing human beings, but we don't always do that for ourselves. And so sometimes you get players who have spent and now they feel driven to continue spending, even though it's painful, because they want to keep that concept of themselves that they've made going, keep it accurate. It's like if you're a top performer in your guild and you want to keep spending so that you keep being a top performer in your guild, but now it hurts. You're you're pigeonholing yourself into spending money. When really, if you kind of go with that values-based approach that I was explaining, and I'll give links to you guys after the show that you can kind of tag on.
Yeah, and I'll edit the description. Well, if we let this the video version stand that I'm doing right now, I'll edit the description. Otherwise, I will put it in the description that I post later on. For our listeners, so they could get that too. And I'm in the Jedi Temple as you put up. I'm sure I saw
you're my test subject. You're helping me quality control it.
I'm your rat. Can I get a piece? I've hit the lever. Can I get a piece of food? Yeah. I almost got the piece of food. Can I get the food? All right.
But the last kind of addition to that thought is, instead of seeing ourselves as the content of what we've produced, you see ourselves as through a lens of context, like as somebody who's allowed to change, whose motivations are allowed to grow over time. There's all kinds of things in our life that we've done that we don't necessarily want to do the same way anymore. And you don't have to be driven by that desire to keep performing or keep doing things at the same level. It's okay to change the way you play. And oftentimes you'll find that people support that. How many times have we seen a player that wants to move down a guild that isn't as hardcore as another? That's fine. Most of your friends are going to support that. And if they don't, they're probably not really your friends. But like I said, the key to playing this game and having a good time is it shouldn't be painful. If just playing the game is painful, that's a good indicator, especially if you're saying the only reason you play is social, to stay in these forums and stay in these chats, but don't play the game. It's okay. I know a lot of people who have done that, and I still talk to them. But like I said, I'm going to give you lots of links, and I think it's a good idea to kind of browse them. But just remember that this game is always trying to steer us in a direction that they want us to go. You don't have to follow that direction. It's one of the things I didn't cover, and I know we're running out of time, is that one of the ways that they kind of drive us to do things that we don't want to do is throwing out these achievements. These achievements mean nothing. It's how many people.
It means I get a pretty picture, Jesse. Come on.
Exactly. And so, how many people said, I'm not going to go after the Galactic Legends? I think the surveys that a lot of the content creators made showed something like 50%, maybe less. I'd have to go back and look. But how many people do you see carrying titles all of a sudden? Those titles look so attractive, but they really don't mean anything. It's not really labeling who we are as a person. I'm not getting all philosophical but that's kind of that's just an example of the way the game will steer us in directions that they want us to go.
I brought you on to talk philosophical. It's okay. But one of the happiest, or at least it appears that way to me, one of the happiest players that I know outside of Neil, who just only deals in original trilogy stuff, is Run DMV Junior, and I all of a sudden see him on.
We lost him.
No, I think he just stopped for a second. I'm sure.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Technical difficulties.
It's okay. Run DMV is a great friend of mine, and he always goes after the things that he wants. I mean, he himself went out and he's going to Zeta in commiseration with me, Bodhi Rook, and he's even going to take him to Relic 4, which I haven't even done. He does it because he likes it. He's playing the game his way, and I see him as an inspiration to people that want to play their own way. He really, truly is that perfect inspiration, in my opinion. And
that's the perfect example of values-based action. Why are you playing this game? What's important to you? That's what's going to keep this game fun long-term. How many people got a Zeta Rose Tico? I did, in solidarity to Heinze. You know what I mean? As if I'm going to tell people that Rose might work, I got to prove it. So I geared up a tune that I had no intention of doing, just out of solidarity, because my value was community, friendship, and I thought it was a goofy, fun thing to do. And it was. Am I getting use out of her? Surprisingly, yes, but I did not think that I would. That was just a lucky side effect.
Yeah. So, yeah, the relicking certainly helped with the Rose Tico thing.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Neil, anything on that, my friend?
No, I'm good, mate.
I don't need to hog this interview as much.
And anybody that wants to, they can message me on Discord. It's eGraceGamer number 6668.
666. Oh my God.
plus 8.
Jesse, I mean, there's so much more that we could cover right now. And I'm sure that if anybody's interested, I wouldn't mind seeing them inside the Jedi Temple.
It's still under construction, but anybody interested is more than welcome to join.
Well, you
very
posted
small
that
right
whole selective attention test.
Oh yeah. I put that in there because I wanted to give you the link to that to just give an example of how when the game is telling us, or we're trying to focus on something so hard. I don't want to spoil this because this video is hilarious. We get so pigeonholed on what we're trying to do that we don't see everything around us. And if we put this link in there, people can see how, when we're so focused on doing something, how crazy things can be right in front of us. Like the example I mentioned was relics, putting very important pieces of gear in there sneakily. And you guys will get a kick out of this test, especially if it tricks you.
Yeah. So, all right, my friend. Anything before we let you go and finish up our last segment?
No. See you on the tables.
All right, guys.
See you on the holotables, buddy.
Go check out eGrace Gamers, his YouTube channel. Talk to him on Discord. I'm honored to call him a friend. I truly am.
Likewise, both you guys.
And we'll be right back with Kylo Ren's kit, our thoughts,
and some breaking news.
And some breaking news.
It's
All right.
It's Star Wars related, but not game related. So I wanted to leave it until the last segment.
Okay. And then we'll also play Patreon's Choice as our Patreons dictate what we talk about coming up here on the Escape Pod cast.
The Escape Pod cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Ware.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Does your guild want to tap into their full potential in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? Yeah! For as low as $1 a month per guild member, your guild can unleash the power of the game in ways you never thought possible. Ooh. Track your arena movements, guild progression, and much, much more. Contact ShittyBill and get one of his shitty bots on your server today. Just look for him on our Discord server and tag or message him for more information. The link for our server is below in the description. Shitty bots, don't let the name fool you. Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Ware could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
And now time for something completely shameless.
This data makes no sense.
Lennox.
How is this even possible?
Lennox.
Oh, what the? This cannot be correct.
Introspective query. Where can the
wretched organic meat bag
be?
I'm in my captain's quarters, noob. Right where you last saw me.
I have returned. Lennox.
Were you able to acquire the supplies I sent you out for?
Yes, for the most part. But I've encountered a minor
difficult problem.
Lennox. However,
seriously? All I wanted was some chips and a case of beer, noob. You couldn't even get that done? All right, let's see what you got.
Oh no, this is going to be
embarrassing.
Let's see here. Ooh, a bag of Mala Liza's, honey mustard, and space onion pretzel pieces. Nice, I'll take those. A can of 5W30 full synthetic motor oil. Hey, I didn't ask for motor oil. What's this? A magazine? Let's see, the latest issue of what now? Popular Robotics. This issue, a full schematic of that droid from Metropolis as this month's centerfold. Wait, oh my. Noob, I don't even want to know what you plan on doing with those last two items.
I can logically explain both of those items.
Lennox.
No need, noob. You're a young but growing droid, and it's, perfectly natural, I guess, for you to experiment. You know, this must be why everyone keeps going on and on about periodic memory wipes on their droids. I wonder if Anakin or Luke ever had this issue with R2. Anyway, I'm getting off track again. Alright, so, for me, no beer, but yes on some snacks. And for you, a couple of personal items.
Please don't
deactivate
me, Lennox.
I'm not gonna deactivate you for failing to bring me beer, noob. I'm not that vindictive. Instead, I am resourceful. I'll just use this new Space Grub app that I installed on my trusty old Note 8, and we'll have some brews delivered right here to our ship while we're still docked in Coronet Starport. In the meantime, you can go to your quarters and do whatever it was you were planning on doing with that motor oil and that magazine.
I wasn't planning on doing anything.
Embarrassing.
Droid. Relax. I don't judge. You do you, bruh. As for me, I have to finish analyzing your self-diagnostic report so I could get back to listening to the Escape Pod Cast with our hosts, Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Eyre. Take it away, boys. I got reports to analyze and Newbie has to, do something private.
Embarrassing, unfair, and uncalled for. What a jerk. Hellenix is a hack. He can't even swagga. Who the space hell does Hellenix think he is? That's why nobody likes him. He's a power-hungry dictator who attacks people for no reason. He thinks he's so cool. What, with all his swagga celebrity friends? He'll see. This won't end well for the salty Spartan. His time is coming. Soon. Trademark.
Why do I keep feeling like that droid is going to be the end of me?
The Escape Pod. Cast. The Bridge.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Escape Pod Cast. It's our fourth and final segment where we do everything else.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of stuff that we have to cover still. That
we got a lot of loose ends to tie.
Yeah, we got a few loose ends to tie up, and then we're going to finish up here. But let's start with the loose end. We already talked about Rey. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to talk about the Kylo kit. Once again, 6 Zetas plus the ultimate. His basic inflicts buff immunity on the enemy and deals physical damage to them twice. And if they're stunned, third time, an advantage for 2 turns. And if he did it on his own turn, he gains 10 siphon until the end of the encounter, which the unit will gain 1% of a stat per stack, and the target will lose the amount gained. So it really it pulls away. Is siphon dispellable though? I haven't looked at that. I haven't looked to see if you can.
You know, I'm putting money on it that siphon is going to be like it's going to be like it's not going to be. I don't think it'll be dispellable. It's going to be like the mechanic that Darth Revan puts out. It's going to be one of those ones that can't be dispelled, can't be copied. Yeah. So as soon as you see it, it's like, you know, you're on borrowed time unless the RNG gods really smile on you.
So his first special dispels all buffs on all enemies, has a cooldown of 3, and he stuns the target for 2 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, or resisted. It can be prevented, and remember that Rey is immune to stun with all of her specials, we think. Then deal physical damage to the target enemy and gain 20 siphon until the end of the encounter. So 10 siphon, 10% of a stat. You then get 20% of a stat. By the way, on a critical hit, Kylo gains 40 siphon instead.
Yeah.
To me, the fact that on a basic and then doing a stasis strike, 50%, I'm having a feeling that Kylo on 2 turns, if it's a critical hit, because the attack can also cannot be evaded, can end up being the better of the 2. A lot of people are saying, oh, Rey, because of the damage immunity. 50%, Neil, two attacks.
Yeah, no, Rey's going to be good because you can put her in the leader shot with a bunch of light side trash. Kylo is going to be good because he's going to be one of these characters that, I mean, I'll be interested to see if he can do things like if he can solo Darth Revan squads. He just seems like one of those powerhouses that's just going to just keep building it up and up and up and up. I mean, we'll get to the rest of his things, to the rest of his mechanics, but yeah, I just see him as an offensive powerhouse that's just going to do, huge amounts of damage to whoever he's up against.
Exactly. Now his second special, Furious Onslaught, deal physical damage to all enemies. Kylo siphons mastery from the target enemy, and doubled if they're stunned, which can't be resisted. Then dispel all debuffs on all dark side enemies and give them advantage. First order TIE Fighter pilot. Looks really, really good right there. And then also think about Hux and Sith Trooper with the advantage. Now, Siphon Mastery, gain a percentage of mastery equal to the unit's siphon until the end of the encounter, and then the target loses that much mastery. And it's stacking.
Yeah, there's too much. It's getting ridiculous now. 3-page essays on what a character. Yeah, it's just getting too much now. Trying to keep all of this in mind and work it out exactly what is going to happen and when it's going to happen, on who it's going to happen for using which special or which. My brain is already fried, and you've only got to the second special. You haven't even got to the leader or the uniques yet. Siphon's already melting my brain.
So I'm going to go to the leader, then I'm going to go to the ultimate, just like I did with Rey, and then we'll go back to the uniques. The leader, all of the dark side allies that you have plus 40 mastery and plus 50% critical damage. Whenever a dark side ally loses advantage without scoring a critical hit, for example, somebody has foresight, they gain advantage for one turn at the end of the turn, so they get it back if they miss it. Whenever a dark side ally gains advantage, if they didn't already have it, a tank will taunt for 2 more turns, an attacker will gain critical damage up for 2 turns, and support and healers will gain 20% turn meter.
Yeah, those are nice buffs.
We'll get to why that in a support and healer role may be bad. Ultimate, Depths of Rage. They have to have 60% ultimate charge to at least activate it. And you'll gain aggressive stance. Ultimate charge, he gains 2% towards the 100% ultimate charge whenever a dark side ally deals physical or special damage to an enemy, increased to 5% on a critical hit. So, dark side ally Greedo.
Kylo Ren masked.
Well,
with his AoE, basically, but if you put a bunch of AoEs in there, you put Supreme Kylo Ren in with a bunch of AoEs, and they all get their AoEs off. Oh my god!
Exactly.
His ultimate is going to be ready so fast.
Yes. Aggressive stance. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren dispels all debuffs on himself, deals physical damage to all enemies which can't be evaded. While in the stance, he's immune to damage and detrimental effects, can't be defeated, Siphon is doubled, and his abilities have no cooldowns.
So he's basically indestructible.
And if you do it when it's at 100% ultimate charge, aggressive stance lasts for 3 turns. 85% you get 2 turns, and 60% you get 1 turn.
Oh my god!
Kylo Ren seems to be the way to go, in my opinion. I know a lot of content creators are telling you, "Oh, Rey's the best. Rey's the best."
Okay, you put Kylo with somebody that has some serious survivability and counters every single attack. His ultimate is going to get charged very, very quickly. Like, very, very quickly. And then, obviously, once that's in, he's indestructible, and he can just mollywop the entire squad. So I'm thinking, Kylo Ren is going to be whereas Rey is going to be what you use to turn trash light side into a good squad. Kylo Ren is going to be put only maybe 1 or 2 people with him, so that you can get that ultimate, get his ultimate charged super quick, and then he's going to, not only guarantee you an undersized victory, but he's going to guarantee you an undersized victory against a meta team.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Unique 1. Press the advantage. He's immune to stagger. There's not many people that stagger, but still, he cannot gain taunt effects, so you can't force a taunt on him. Now, my question, is Deathmark a taunt effect? Or are they only saying can't gain? Why didn't they just put can't gain taunt instead of taunt effects?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And enemies defeated during his turn cannot be revived. So, Night Sister Killer right there.
Yeah.
Whenever a dark side ally loses turn meter, they gain 10% of their current max health and max protection. Whenever a dark side ally gains bonus turn meter, they lose 10% of their current max health and max protection.
That's a bunch of dark side teams with turn meter removal out of the question now. Oh my god.
Now, so
I wonder if Utini would work.
You're going to have to lose your own turn meter to boost Galactic Legend. Once again, the unit takes reduced damage from percent, massive damage effects, plus 10% health from max protection for Relic, and the damage they received is decreased by 30. So, once again, that Galactic Legend, that's the first thing that you want to go after. That is the first thing that you want to go after with your Zay, is that Galactic Legend, especially if you Relic 7 this character right away.
I look at this. I look at Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. I look at his ultimate, and I think of it in terms of we've got the GG Nukem team, right? And when he is like relicked and he's got the metal monstrosity, his AoE will kill everybody. You just need to kill a couple of the droids on the team. I look at that. And I'm curious, I really, really am going to be curious to know what a Relic 7 Supreme Kylo Ren does damage, because he hits all enemies. So if the ultimate charge, the physical damage dealt by this ultimate charge to all enemies kills all enemies, you only need to be thinking about getting to 60%. 85 and 100%, you don't need it. You only need to get to 60%.
I think fighting Pay Ray, you'll have to, or as somebody else said the other day, the Galactic Legend Ray is Raywall instead of Paywall. And then of course we have Palo Ren. I really think Supreme Leader Palo is going to be the way to go. So
yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Somebody will get it. Who's going to do it first? Mobile, Arnold, 50-50. My money is on Arnold first.
I honestly, he's the one who said Kylo is going to suck. So if you're gonna watch somebody that unlocks this character, go with somebody who was unobjective in the beginning and didn't say a character sucks and then go and grab it. You know, go to the people like Heinze. Go to the people once Xylo Takedown gets this guy, it's going to be amazing. But still.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to have Xylo on. We'll definitely have to have Xylo on in his either in his run up to getting Kylo or in getting Kylo. If we can get him on either just before or just after he gets Kylo, we can get some first reactions to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren for sure.
Let's check in with our guys from the Gambit podcast, because I think one of them was going for Rey and one of them was going for Kylo. We'll check in on them and see how they're doing. I'd like to get one of each person that gets it on.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice to get. It'd be nice to get somebody on that's got Kylo and somebody on that's got Rey. I mean, it'd be nice to get somebody on that gets them both, so that we can get some kind of, even keel as to what their first thoughts are on the two new characters that they've just got hold of. But then it kind of depends on which one they max out first, because there's no way that even a Kraken going for both of these characters is going to have 12 Zetas hoarded. So they're either going to go some on one, some on the other, or all on one, or none of the other. I mean, 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, literally, because in order to max out both these characters simultaneously, 12 Zetas.
Remember, Neil, I think that there's a Zeta and a Zeta component in the Ultimate. So I honestly think it's 8. I think it's either 7 or 8 that they're going to need for the Ultimate ability. Anyway, you said you had breaking news.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's news that I picked up on earlier today. For those of you who are, Star Wars fans, the news.
Who would be a Star Wars fan listening to the Escape podcast?
The news dropped earlier on today that The Mandalorian for season 2 has cast somebody to play a live-action Ahsoka Tano. A live-action. Now, they have cast Rosaria Dawson, who I love. I think she's an awesome actress. And the stuff that I was kind of really, really keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that they would cast Zoe Saldana, because she's got the fighting and she's got the sword play experience. I don't know how much fighting experience within movie roles Rosaria Dawson has got, but I'm very, very, very excited to see a live action Ahsoka Tano in The Mandalorian next season. I can't wait to see that episode. I hope that I hope she cameos over a couple of episodes at least. I'd really, really like to see that. But very, very. I was so excited when I heard that. I wanted to leave it to the last segment, but I've been itching to chomping on the bit to mention that, definitely.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Looking at
slash.com or slashfilm.com. I'm not sure who the publisher of the news was. I don't know. I'm
looking at her IMDb. I'm looking at her IMDb to see what she was in Luke Cage.
Yeah, no, that's her in Luke Cage and Daredevil. Her in the Marvel TV shows are brilliant, and she was such an important character in the Defenders as well. Because I love the Defender. I love, I have been a Daredevil fan for ages. I mean, forget the movie. The movie destroyed the franchise. Forget the movie. But the TV show, oh my God, the Daredevil TV show was incredible. The final fight scene in Daredevil, it was a Mexican. I've never seen a Mexican standoff in a fight scene before. But they did it. The director did an incredible job. She was brilliant in the Defenders, and she was brilliant in Daredevil. She was brilliant in Luke Cage, and yeah. I mean, obviously she was awesome in Clerks 2 as well, and Death Proof.
I did like Becky. By the way, she played Gale in Sin City. She can fight. Okay, so I think she's going to be fine. Now, Ashley Eckstein, that would have been great to have her play the same character she lent her voice to. But remember, Rosario's the appropriate age. Ashley, technically, I don't think is. So I think that's where it's gonna play into. And also note this. Remember the timeline of the Mandalorian.
It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
So we are now pushing Rebels.
Well, Rebels ended after the Battle of Endor, and this is one of the reasons why I think that they're bringing Ahsoka Tano. I think that they're bringing Ahsoka in as kind of like the teaser to, you know, she's going to discuss, maybe talk about her, you know, her looking for Ezra. You know, there is going to be some element to what she did regarding Rebels, which is going to lead into the new animated TV series that they're doing, that's not going to be called Rebels, but is based around Ezra and Thrawn. So yeah, that just her coming in, I'm drooling, you know. I can't wait. I cannot wait for Mandalorian season 2. October cannot come fast enough, you know.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. All right, so you concocted this great idea, and I have to give you 100% credit on it. We wanted to find a way to reward our Patreons a little bit more. We wanted to be able to say, hey, let's have our Patreons dictate our fourth segment. This is Patreon's choice. We kind of thought about dealer's choice, but we're gonna give it to our Patreons. What topics did our Patreons want us to discuss this week?
Well, I mean, a couple of people put a couple of things in the Patreon chat, but we're going to go for something nice and fluffy on our first outing regarding Patreon's choice, and that was by Run DMV, who wanted to hear us talk about our favorite factions, not because of kits or because of gameplay, but because of lore, backstory, stuff like that. And he wants to know what our top 3 factions in Star Wars are, and the lore and why they impacted us.
Okay, so we're giving them 3, and this is the 3rd time I think we've mentioned Run DMV. He's a superstar, man. He's a superstar. All right, so I'll give one, you give one. We'll go back and forth here. So I'm going to go, and it really, really wasn't how to put this? It wasn't because of their unique synergy in this game. It was entirely because of Star Wars Rebels. But the Phoenix Squadron was the one that I geeked out when I saw it come to the game. It's the one that I ended up, they were my first taste of paying for characters because I enjoyed them. I bought each and every single one when they came out, in there to get them to 4 stars, and I farmed them along the way. So they were my first love. As far as factions go. What do you got for yours, Neil?
Well, I mean, my first one would be the Scoundrels. because Scoundrels played such a huge part in the extended universe, in the books, in the 90s and in the noughties. You know, you had Booster Terek, you had Talon Card, Mara Jade, Skywalker. You know, she was part of a group of scoundrels / bounty hunters / pirates, and they were always of vital importance within the storytelling and within the narrative of certain books and certain stories in the extended universe. They always played some sort of pivotal role, despite being scoundrels. You know, that they weren't, you know, on a side as of such, but you know, when all the results were said and done, you know, they still came out on the side of good. They never came out on the side of bad. So Scoundrels is definitely one of my 3 favorite factions, not based on reasons for the game.
So, I mean, are you going to lump the Mandalorian into that?
All factions.
I know
you know, any if it's a scoundrel, they're there, and that's the reason why I like the Scoundrels, because of the stories and because of the narratives, and it's so much easier to put scoundrels into a storytelling. You know, when it's Resistance or First Order or Rebels or Empire, you know, it's very black and white. You know, it's very 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 black and white, unless you're that guy in Rogue One. What's that rebel's name? The extremist.
Saw Gerrera,
yeah. So it's very you know, it's very black and white, unless you're Saw Gerrera. Lots of grey area where Saw Gerrera is concerned.
So you were close. You know, the Scoundrels I wasn't too much of a fan of, but I've always been a fan, and I've been a supporter of the Mandalorian Merc. They're a cosplay community that does Mandalorians. So I'm going to slightly go off of your Scoundrels, and I'm going to say my number 2 would be the Mandalorians. Jango was the character that I ultimately first wailed for. And I'm very glad I did at the same time. But any Mandalorian, when it comes down to it, if they put out the Mandalorian itself, it's going to be really hard not to break out Visa, MasterCard, or Discover. But I'll do my best. You know, I'll heed what we talked about with Jesse just last segment. That is my number 2 is Mandalorians. So okay. Boba, Jango, possibly the Mandalorian, possibly Jetpack Guy if he ever comes out, because he needs to get myself one of those. And in turn, I'll expand it to be the bounty hunters, because you needed good bounty hunters to go along with the Mandalorians of Boba and Jango. Over to you for your number 2.
The next one would be the crew, because technically it's a faction. Not because of the ships, because we know ships could definitely be better, but the Rogue Squadron book, the Rogue Squadron series in the and I know I'm going all extended universe here, but when you read the extended universe and you find out the backstories of all of these various different pilots and how good they were and what they did in their ships, what battles they were involved in, you know, how they evolved. I mean, Wedge became, you know, a general and basically ended up, you know, running his own fleet, for goodness sake. But he was always prepared to, you know, jump back into his X-wing and lead a squadron if that was what was necessary. I mean, you know, once he made general, he was never, you know, he was no longer the leader of Rogue Squadron, and the leader of Rogue Squadron passed from person to person. usually someone who was a Jedi. But yeah, so the crew faction, the crew, and the crews of the various different ships, and probably mainly Rebel, mainly Rebel, light side. We're talking light side pilots, A-wings, B-wings, X-wings, Jedi or non-Jedi. But that's a faction, and the reason why I like them is because of the stories told in the X-wing series books from the extended universe.
As long as I never see a Tycho Selchu, I'll be all right. Hated Tycho. All right. So, the last one, and you're going to be surprised that I actually pulled it out. The last one has not come to our game yet, but it darn well needs to.
Yeah, I know where it's. Does it begin with a P by any chance?
It starts. It's the Weequay Pirates. We definitely need the Weequay Pirates. I even got my Hondo out of the box. He is, by the way, we talked about this. He is a bobblehead. Not all Funkos are bobbleheads, though. I need to see the Weequay Pirates. I play them. I played with them in Imperial Assault. They are a great sub faction to play in one of the 1v1 matchups on those maps. They're also great in the campaign if you use them right. So Weequay Pirates, and I'm only limiting it to the Weequay. There are other pirates that sucked. Bring us the Weequay and give them their darn. Saying no, but I'm sure he would agree with me. There you go.
No worries.
All right.
Okay, my last one's a bit surprising, and the exact and it's a faction that I'm picking for the exact same reason as the other two factions, because of the stories. I love the stories, and the other faction I like the most is Empire. Because what happens to the Empire faction in the extended universe is so far off the reservation. I mean, it doesn't bear thinking about. I mean, right off the bat, during the mid 90s, early in the mid 90s, Kevin J. Anderson came out with the Jedi Academy trilogy. And in that, the big bad was, because it was so close to, it was very, very close to Return of the Jedi. Luke's just setting up a new Jedi Praxium and a new Jedi Academy. But there are still Empire people floating out there. And there's this redheaded chick called Admiral Darla. And she basically takes it upon herself to try and, rise up from the ashes and bring the Empire back, but remove the bad elements. So removing the xenophobia, removing the racism, removing all, certain evil elements from the Empire in order to get people to join. She was getting, aliens from all various different planets and all different races to join with her, to go against the New Republic and to go against the Jedi, because she wasn't, xenophobic and bigoted and racist, and she was trying to turn what she had from the Empire into a meritocracy, as opposed to, well, you're human, so you could, and you're evil, you're in. It was, if you're not good at your job, you're not in. So and you saw that happening with Admiral Palon, who was Thrawn's number 2, and you saw it with lots and lots and lots of other Empire faction characters in the extended universe, where it's like, well, they liked the law and order side of the Empire, but they didn't like any of the evil. So it was like, well, we're just going to take the good aspects of the Empire and forget about the evil side of it. A bit like the Democrats during the first half of the 20th century, desperately trying to ignore all of the Dixiecrats that were in the party, that were a bunch of complete and utter, a-holes, while they were seeing they saw the light, but unfortunately, so yeah, that's why the Empire was so good in the extended universe, because they were so desperate to cling on to power. It's like, well, we need to cast off all of our evil shackles and just concentrate on the good, in order to survive. And, you know, that was one of the things that kind of, you know, made characters like Admiral Palon respected in the New Republic, because he wasn't an evil piece of crap.
we did get Palon in the new Thrawn book, so that's fun. But also, once again, Neil, no politics on the Escape Pod.
That wasn't politics. That was history. That was a history lesson.
All right. We'll move along. Was there anything else that we wanted to cover from Patreon's choice?
No, that was that. That was it. We'll just do one thing, because obviously, you know, we've been going on for. Let me just check.
Well, remember, we also have
36
to include,
minutes.
We do also have to include the technical difficulties we had after the second segment.
That was only about 5 minutes, mate.
Okay. All right. Well, for those of you watching live, I am going to recommend, if you are not a Patreon and don't hang out with us in the after show, I would recommend you guys go check out Shattered Order. They're going to be starting here in approximately 13 minutes. They're a great podcast. I definitely recommend checking them out. Punk and Wink are extremely knowledgeable. They'll have more information on the Galactic Legends. If you are a Patreon, we do hope to see you in the after show. And it's an absolute honor that you guys do support us. If you are, if you're not already following us on Twitch, we're doing a lot of new fun stuff on Twitch, and we are also only 3 followers away from becoming an affiliate over there. So, you know, I'd love to be able to exclaim that we are affiliates on Twitch next week. That would be fun to do. Other than that, thank you guys for all the support. Let's get us to 1,000. Neil, any parting words?
Hit the subscribe, hit the like, and write something funny, interesting, amusing, entertaining, or constructively critical in the comments below. Or we don't learn.
And even if you'd put something that's not constructive, we'll probably still read it, probably flip off the phone, laugh at you that you took time out of your day to tell us how much we suck.
Yeah,
at least you watched our and at least you watched our video.
The average listener of Howard Stern hated him more than they liked him. Do you think he cared? NWA sold more records to the religious right that then took those records and destroyed them. Do you think they cared? No, because they were still buying the records. So if you watch us and hate us, you still watched us. We're in your head. We're living rent-free in your head.
And with that being said, we'll see you guys in the after show. We love you extremely, extremely much. With that being said, be nice to each other, damn it. Scotty's on the mend, guys. That's some good news. And with that being said, wash your hands. Don't hurt Scotty. We'll see you next week. Push the button.
You got it, mate. Ta-ta for now, folks.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down the circuits. Evacuate the city. Self-destruct mechanism has been activated. Abandon ship! Where is it? Where is it? It's gotta be here. Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
6! What happened to 7?
Just kidding. 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. The Escape Podcast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out Murder bears.
Sit, Boo Boo, sit. Good dog.